Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to the 8th day of the Bhagavad Gita overview course. We are in the 26th batch. We have completed 25 batches previously. I'm really happy to have you all in our 26th batch. And today we will look at the 8th chapter. And as always, before we start, we will do the Mangala Charana. I will share my screen, and by now most of you are familiar with the Mangala Charana that we refer to, and this is there in the Bhakti Vedanta Veda base, and you can look it up. These are good mantras, and as we learned yesterday, mantra means something that helps to deliver the mind. Deliver the mind from what? Deliver the mind from all kinds of distractions that we are so prone to. Okay, so Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurum Munmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande aham Shri Guruhu Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Sadabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we will, as I told you, as I indicated to you previously, every chapter is connected with the last verses of the previous chapter that we ended. Okay, so now there are two verses that I want us to read together from the previous chapter, which is chapter 7, the knowledge of the absolute. So the last two verses is what I want us to read together. So the last two verses said, I'll go to the Sanskrit. He says, Jara Marana Mokshaya Mamashritya Yatantiye Te Brahma Tad Vidhu Krishnam Adhyatman Karma Chakila. So here, intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me. This is being spoken by Lord Krishna. Okay. So he says here, those people, intelligent means people who are a yogi, people who are in the Shuddha Sattva Guna, who have gone or transcended all kinds of gunas, and who are endeavoring for liberation from the cycle of birth and death, they take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman. Mark this, Lord says Brahman. He brings the word Brahman. They entirely know everything about the transcendental activities. He says Brahma here. He's also talking about Adhyatman. Yadhyatma. Adhyatma means transcending. Transcending all kinds of all kinds of activities. So he brings in Brahma, Adhyatma, and he's also bringing the word karma. So mark these words. We will be looking at them in the next chapter. And the next verse is Sadi Bhuta Adi Daivam Sadi Yagnam Chave Viduhu Prayanakale Api Chamam Te vidur yukta chetasaha. So here again, these words are to be marked. Sadi adi daivam is one word. Then sadi yagnam. Then prayana kale is is again another phrase you need to remember. So these are the things, just remember. So this verse translates as those who in full conscious of me, those who are fully, aware of the Supreme Lord, the super soul who's there in everyone's heart, who know me as the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the Prakriti, of the demigods, of all the devas and devatas who are part and parcel of the Lord, and of all methods of sacrifice, all the various types of penances and yagnas, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Okay? So now with this, I will go into the chapter. Let me pick my... Give me a minute. I need to pick the... Okay, I think it is here. Just bear with me. I need to pick up the... Okay. This is our slide for the day. Deck for the day, sorry. So this is all about, this chapter is going to focus all about attaining the Supreme. Attaining the Supreme means Akshara Brahma, Akshara means one who is imperishable, who is indestructible, and one who will never fall. Remember, I use the word Kshara. Kshara means those that can fall, those that are perishable, those that are destructible. So the Lord is Akshara and we are Kshara. So this one is all about attaining the Supreme. Attaining the Supreme when? Because remember, in the last chapter, the last verse of the last chapter, he said, Antakalecha, at the time of death. Attaining the Supreme, not only while we are alive, not only while we have the awareness and consciousness in us, but also once the conscience is ebbing away from our bodies. Okay? So the overview of this chapter is going to be, Arjuna is going to pick up the words that the Lord used in the last two verses of the last chapter, and those become the 8 questions that Arjuna is going to ask the Lord. So that is what is going to be from 8.1 to 8.4. And then he's going to ask the Lord, the last question that he asked is, how does one remember you at the time of death? So that he's going to focus in the verses 8.5 to 8.8. And then we are going to look at how can one remember the Lord through Yoga Mishra. And then remembering the Lord, Yoga Mishra is all the Ashtanga Yoga and all that we spoke of, the 6th chapter of the first section of the Bhagavad Gita, the Karma section. Then remembering Krishna by pure bhakti or Ananya bhakti or Kevala bhakti. Then material world, the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. And last but not the least, the supremacy of bhakti in attaining Krishna is going to be the last 5 verses of this chapter. Okay. So 8.1 and 8.2, we will look at both of them together. So Arjuna uvacha, kim tat brahma, kim adhyatmam, kim karma purushottama, adibhutam cha kim proktam, adidaivam kim muchyate. So he is asking, just mark these words, he's asking Brahma, he's asking about Adhyatma, what is Brahma, what is Adhyatma, what is Karma, then what is Adibhuta, and what is Adi Daiva. Okay, so you may wonder, the karma word is again coming, but then you will see the elaboration that happens, with respect to the response that the Lord gives. Then I'm also going to read 8.2. Adi yagnaha katam ko atra dehe asmin madhusudana prayana kale chama katam neyo asi niyatat mabihi. So here it says, he asks about Adi Yagna, then he asks about Prayana Kale. Okay, so these form the 8 questions that Arjuna will ask in the next, the Lord will respond in the next 2 verses. Now, can someone read the translation of 8.1?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Rajpriya Mataji, go ahead.
Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. Can someone else read 8.2?
Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Varuneshwarji.
How does this Lord of sacrifice live in the body, and in which part does he live, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you got the question. He's asking about Brahman. What is the Brahman? What is self? Look at the small self. It is S, which means it is ourselves, no? The souls, the Jivatmas. What are the fruitive activities? That's karma. What is material manifestation? That is Prakriti. And what are the demigods? They are referred to as Adi Deva. Then how does this Lord of sacrifice, how does this Lord Adi Yagna live in the body? And in which part does he live? That is, how does the Adi Yagna live in the, in the living entities? O Madhusudana. And how can one engage in devotional service at the time or know you at the time of death? So these are the 8 questions in these 2 verses. So these are the 2 verses that we just saw, from the previous chapter. So I will move to the next slide. So next slide, the question. Can one person, I need one person to read the question and one person to answer the question. Who will take it? Someone who hasn't read so far. So many of you are there. I don't hear many of you. Can you also participate? Hare Krishna. Anyone who hasn't participated so far, can you please? I want one person to read the question and another person to answer the question. And that way just go up to 8. Can somebody come forward? Hare Krishna. Who? Anybody? Come, there are so many of you. Let me look up. I think I'm going to call out today. Anybody? Kushbu Javarji. What about you? Shraboni ji, Hare Krishna. Kushbu ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah. You will take the question or you'll take the answer?
I'll take the question.
Okay. Can I have somebody, one more person for the answer? What about Shriya Kamatji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So yeah, can both of you start? Read the question and then the other person answers, and then read the question, other person answers. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
What is Brahman? Spirit.
Yes, the other Mata.
Jiva, indescribable living entity.
Yeah, second question.
What is Adhyatma? Controller of the body.
Yes, Mata.
Nature of Jiva, self.
Okay.
What's the karma? Work, fruitive activities.
Actions leading to material body.
Very good.
Adhibhuta, material manifestation.
Yeah, it's manifestation. It's a spelling error there. Okay. Hare Krishna.
But material nature.
Very good.
What is Adi Deva, supreme demigod?
Universal form which includes all demigods.
Adi Ajna, the enjoyer of sacrifice.
Yes.
Paramatma.
Where does Adi Ajna reside?
In the heart of all.
How to remember Krishna at the time of death?
Practice remembrance throughout life.
Thank you so much. That was extraordinary. Thank you, Mataji. You did a great job. So the question is the Brahman. Who is the what is the Brahman? Brahman, the spirit. The Akshara Brahman is the supreme Brahman, and all the Jivas are the Jivatmas. Okay. The Lord is the Superatma, and we are the part and parcel of him. We are the living entities as the Jivatmas. karmas. What is Adhyatma? The controller of the body. The Adhyatma, the controller of the body, is a Swabhava, is the nature of the self. The nature of the self, how? The nature of the health, remember I told you, happens in two ways. One is the Sanchita karma, and the second one is the Prarabdha karma. The Sanchita karma and the Prarabdha karma together make up the nature of the self. Okay, the Sanchita karma is all the mental impressions, all the vasanas that we bring in from all our previous lives into this life, and also the nature that we adopt based on the life, the body, depending on the desires that we have, the body type that we get, also kind of adds up to the the past vasanas as well. And what is karma? Karma is that the fruit of activities, because of all the various activities of the jiva in its previous birth, the body that it gets is what is karma. So based on my desires, based on all my mental impressions that I carry, I get or I derive a body type, and the activities that I do as part of that body type becomes the karma. And what is the Adi Bhuta, the material manifestation? It is the Prakriti. The Prakriti that that is destructible, and that is perishable, and that is something which akshara. It is not a permanent feature. The Prakriti that has all the modes or all the various kind of gunas in it is the Adi Bhuta. Okay. And Adi Bhuta is also all the gross elements that we saw. All the inferior energy of the Lord is the Adi Bhuta, or the material manifestation. The Adi Daiva, who's the Adi Daiva? The Adi Deva is the Virata Purusha. The Virata Purusha that kind of, encompasses all the demigods within his body is the Adi Deva. Who's Adi Yagna? The Adi Yagna is the Supreme Lord himself, because he is the benefactor and he is the beneficiary of all sacrifices and all the activities, that everything that happens, and everything that we do is something that is given to us by him, and as well as anything good, all the what do you call it? Yeah, all the kind of activities that we do as part of our process of devotion, is the enjoyer of all that is the Supreme Lord. Where does the Adi Yagna reside? The Adi Yagna resides in the heart of all the Jivatmas. Now, how to remember Krishna? Obviously, you can't remember anything overnight. Even studies also, we can't just go take an exam based on our, based on studying in the last minute. Studying in the last minute will fetch you that much of result, which probably you're able to recall the next day. But studying throughout the year gives you a very different kind of a result, gives you a result that is far more satisfying and far more progressive. So obviously, how to remember Krishna? Devotion has to be practiced all through our life. Okay? Did everyone understand this? Any questions? Hare Krishna, anybody any questions?
No, Mataji.
Okay, 1 minute, I don't know why my screen is not moving. Okay, so the Bhagavan responds, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavo Karo Bhava Karo Visargaha Karma Samnyataha. The Supreme Lord said, the indestructible transcendental living entity is called the Brahman, or the Akshara, and his eternal nature is called the self, based on our vasanas. Action pertaining to the development of these material bodies is called karma, or the fruit. So depending on the body type that we get, the karma or the activities we do is called karma. Okay, the karma will depend on the kind of body type we get. The karma will be different if we were to get an animal body. The karma will be different if we were to get a bird's body. A karma will be different if we were to get a human body. Okay, so this is how the soul moves from one body type to another body, and even within one body also, it goes through the process of growth, and finally it stays for some time and then decline, either by way of death or by disease, and ultimately death. Okay, is this clear? Is this clear? Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay, so this, remember, this goes back to that, that shloka, Dehino asmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam zara tata dehantara praptis dhiras tatra namuyati, 2.13. Okay, and then 8. So this is the thing. The body type that we get will kind of determine the activity that we'll do. If we get a body type of a dog, we'll behave like a dog and bark and run around, and mindlessly and, not knowing what to do. If we get a body of a pig, we are constantly eating anything and everything that comes our way. If we kind of get a body type and where the predominant guna is more of, rajasic and tamasic, and, those are the kind of things that we will do more from the bodily, from the bodily indulgences. And then if we get a body type which is the sattva guna, we will be a brahmana. We will be kind of more interested in in knowledge, and as well as spreading knowledge and awareness. And then if we get the body type of a rajasic guna, we'll have more of that administrative or that mentality of leading people and societies and etc. So it all depends. It all depends on our past karma and the past desires, and those desires in turn determine the body type that we all will achieve. And based on that, our fruitive activities or activities that we do will depend on the body type that we get. Okay. So in 8.4 he says, Adi Bhutam Ksharo Bhavaha Purushas Chaddi Daivatam Adi Yagno Aham Evatra Dehe Deha Brihatam Vara. Can someone read this translation? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Aniruddha. Come.
Physical nature is known to be endlessly mutable. The universe is the cosmic form of the Supreme Lord, and I am that Lord represented as the super soul, dwelling in the heart of every embodied being.
Yeah, so here he's answering about Prakriti Adi Bhutam. Then he's also talking about Adi Daivam, Adi Yagno, and where does the Lord of Yagna reside? Okay, these are the four answers he gives here. The physical nature is endless, is known to be, and it keeps on changing. The physical nature the physical Prakriti does not remain the same. All the five elements that we spoke of, they don't remain the same. The mountain that was once upon a time a grand mountain doesn't remain the same. It changes. So similarly, and we also, the body type that we get also grows from the womb, from the embryo. It comes, once it takes its birth, it grows, and then it finally achieves its full body. And then it also kind of deteriorates over time and ultimately finds its death as well. In fact, Prabhupada in this verse gives a beautiful explanation. He says, it seems the caterpillar, while it's in the form of a caterpillar and yet to become, it's just come out of its weave, and it's kind of, it kind of just crawls around on things. I believe it keeps, when it sees the other butterflies and other flies, flying around, I believe it constantly will be waiting. When am I also going to become a butterfly? And when am I going to get the opportunity to fly freely? So here he kind of, brings this out to say that all of us constantly have to think about the Lord, and only then that devotion will kind of ripen, and it will remain with you, not only while you are in the active state, but also in a state where you're slowly getting into a state of inactiveness or inaction. Okay, so very many people say, "Oh, does it happen? Does a being like a butterfly or a bird, would they ever think would they be ever thinking of wanting to achieve their final form?" Actually speaking, if those of you who have had pets at home will actually, or even if you are someone who watches all these documentaries on birds and animals, you will notice they're constantly waiting to when they can also do all the activities like their parents do. Okay, so it is not as though that these living beings do not have an intellect. They do have an intellect. That intellect is definitely far more limited than the intellect that we have. But however, they do have their intellect as well. So it also kind of brings to the point that we need to respect everything that the Lord has created as a part of his creation in the Prakriti. Okay. Now, what should we do at the time of death? Is there something specific do you think we will do at the time of death? Hare Krishna, can you just, just answer me? Anybody? What?
Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I believe that there is nothing specific we can do at the time of death, because it's not predictable that when we are going to die or
Okay.
something like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Thank you. Somebody else? Anyone else with another view? What should we do at the time of death? Anyone else? Anything comes to your mind? Hare Krishna.
Should remember Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So let's see what the Lord says. Antakale cha mameva smarana muktva kale varam yah prayati sa madbhavam yati nastatre samshayah. Whoever at the time of death, antakale, whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me once, smarana muktva kale, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of that or of this, there is no doubt. There is no samshaya. There is no doubt. This is an example, or the example that we're showing you here is that of Bhishma, who was lying, on the 10th day, he gave up, fighting. And he asked Arjuna to kind of put down a bed of arrows. And a bed of arrows was made, and he was made to lie on that. And he was waiting for the war to get over, because he knew what the outcome of the war was going to be. And he wanted to meet the 5 Pandavas together. And he also was eagerly waiting to meet the Lord, because he knew who the Lord was. He knew who Krishna was. And he wanted to meet Krishna at the time when he was going to give up his last breath. And he calls the 5 Pandavas and tells them that the outcome of this, the Pandavas were extremely, in a state of distraught, because everyone was killed in that battle and they weren't happy at all. What Arjuna was going through, but he still did his duty based on Krishna's advice and Krishna's instruction, because each of us have to do our duty. And Arjuna finally, surrenders to the Lord, which you will read in the forthcoming chapters. And he goes on to fight the battle along with his brothers and the rest of the people who had come to support the Pandavas. But now Bhishma tells them, hey, I knew what was going to happen at the end of this war. I was aware of this, and I'm so happy for you all, because at the end of the day, the right has to win over the wrong. And I'm so happy that you all took the side of the right. And he also kind of, asked for forgiveness from the Lord and from the rest of them, saying that I did not do what I had to do. And I'm really, really, feeling not so good about it. And therefore, at this point in time, I ask for forgiveness from all of you. And please, and he looks to the Lord and says, please give me mukti, so that I'm never born into this world of misery again. So the important thing for us is we have to conduct ourselves. See, Bhishma was lucky. He had the Lord beside him. And it is said, all the people who were there when the Lord was personally present in this universe, all of them attained moksha. All of them got liberation because the Lord was there. Even unknowingly, though knowingly very few of them knew who Lord was, but unknowingly they came in contact with him. And all the people, this is one common question that comes: what happened to all the people who died on the Kurukshetra? All of them attained the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so here the fundamental point is that remembering the Lord at the time of if possible, like what Mataji said, we may not know, it's so unpredictable, we may not know, but however, if the good fortune prevails upon us, based on our bhakti, based on our devotion, based on our faith, we are able to carry on this till the last minute of our memory, I am sure the outcome is going to be one of what Bhishma also experienced. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So 8.5 Antakale. Okay, so it's the same thing. So what was the answer? Okay, here you all may not. Anyone knows the story of Yudhishthira Maharaj and Yaksha? Okay, so Yudhishthira Maharaj, what happened once Yudhishthira, and when they were on the Ajñatavas, all of them, and they were not idle. They kept training, and they kept doing things that would keep them fit mentally and physically, and also they were also learning a lot of things. So in one such kind of a trip of theirs in the forest, they were feeling very thirsty. So, Yudhishthira asked, his youngest brother Nakula, he said, hey, can you just look around and see if there's any water body around? So Nakula climbs a tree and sees, hey, I can see a lake far away. Let me go and fetch some water. He said, yeah, Yudhishthira says, okay, please go and fetch some water for all of us. So Nakula goes. And after Nakula goes, there is a long gap. So Yudhishthira gets worried. He says, Sahadev, can you please just go take a look? What's happened? Nakula hasn't come back. So Sahadev follows. And Sahadev also doesn't come. And what happened to all of them, both of them, was as soon as they went to pick up water, there was a voice that came and said, before you pick up any water, any drop of water from this lake, you better answer my question. If you don't answer my question, and if you pick up a drop of water, you will die. So Nakula didn't heed. He picked up some water and he died. He had fallen there. And Sahadev also did not heed. He also died. And then, Yudhishthira asks Bhima to go, and Bhima and Arjuna, they go together. And then, again, they hear the same voice. Bhima said, oh, come on, ignore it. I don't know, must be some demonic, Atma must be around, ignore. So he picks up the water and he falls, and the same thing, fate awaits Arjuna as well. All of them fall. Then, seeing none of them having come back, Yudhishthira walks towards that water body. And then when he reaches, he also hears the same voice. And immediately Yudhishthira just prostrates and says, who are you? What are the questions you want to ask of me? And I will try my best to kind of. Yudhishthira was a humble man, very humble, very devoted, and a very nice, Atma. So he said, I'll answer all your questions, whoever you are. But, please help me. I need to see my brothers revive again. So the several questions are asked. I'm not going to dwell on that. But one question that stood out, or the last or the final question that that voice asked was, he said, what is the wonder of this material world? What is so great about this material, or what is it that is so, starkingly stands out in this material world? So Yudhishthira says, that which stands out so starkingly is that every Jivatma sees another Atma die. I'm sorry, every human, every Jivatma sees the other Jivas dying, but still they think they are immune to it. So did you understand what I said? He said everyone sees people dying around them, but they think they are immune to it. Did you get it? Hare Krishna?
Yes, Mataji.
So we see a lot of things, falling upon people, lot of illness, all kinds of miseries, all kinds of troubles fall on people, or people, go through a lot of things. But we think, oh, it is happening outside of me. I don't care. Okay, COVID happened. Many people died. We thought death can only happen to them. We forget that the same COVID can attack us, and that can happen to us also. And we know the kind of indiscipline that existed. The only way that we could have protected ourselves from COVID. Okay, many people didn't believe in the vaccine. If you didn't believe in the vaccine, you didn't want the vaccine, is another aspect, because by our fundamental right gives us the ability to kind of, go for something or not go for it. So the government also couldn't force much on us. So whoever wanted to take, took. And whoever didn't want to take, didn't take. It's okay, don't take. But at least will you follow the discipline of wearing masks, of ensuring that you were kind of, following all the various kind of discipline that was required, so that you are not contracting it. And if at all you contracted, you do not give it to others. No, it was all folly. Right? We were completely foolish. We thought, oh, COVID can happen to others, but it need not happen to me. So similarly, very many times, or most of the times, we think death can happen outside of us. Death may or may not happen to us. Or we think, oh yeah, let's see, whenever death happens, I will see it that time. We don't even think that when death comes, that it's going to be so, so sudden that we ourselves, we may not know. It may be in a deep sleep and we may not get up the next morning. So there's a moral here. So what it also means is, whatever work you have to do, whenever you get up in the morning, be thankful that you were able to get up. And whatever work you have to do for the day, ensure you're accomplishing them. Ensure that you're not kind of, leaving anything unaccomplished or leaving anything unattended, because we don't know if we'll have the tomorrow with us. So it's better that we always complete everything that we have today rather than postponing it. Procrastination is to be avoided at all costs. Okay, that is the moral. The perishability of our bodies, the perishability, of the destruction of things is certain. Now, how the destruction will happen? Will it happen by way of destruction of the body, or will it happen by way of natural disasters like a rain or an avalanche or a flood or tsunami or a COVID? We don't know. So, irrespective or being mindful of the very many things that are beyond our control, we must ensure that we are in control of what we do, and whatever we must do it in a timely manner rather than procrastinating it or rather than carrying it over. Okay, that these are some of the subtle things that we have as takeaways from all these examples. Okay, so the verse here is ahani ahani bhutani gachantiha yamalayam sheshah stavaram ichanti kim ascharya matah param. Hundreds and thousands of living entities meet death at every moment, but a foolish living being nonetheless thinks himself deathless and does not prepare for death. That is the most wonderful thing in this world. This was a response that Yudhishthira had given, that voice that was coming out from that lake. Now, who was that voice? That voice was none other than his father, Yamadharma Raja. Okay, and finally, of course, because of Yudhishthira's great answers, he was testing his son's, honesty. He was testing his son's austerity. He was trusting his son's truthfulness. He was so pleased with everything that he revived all the other 4 brothers of his, and all of them continued with their journey of the Ajnatavas. Okay, that was the story. Now, what will be the result of remembering anything else other than Krishna? We will see in the next verse. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati antakale varam tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitah. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits the body, that state he will attain without fail. So what is the Lord saying? Whatever you think at the end of leaving your body, in whatever state of mind we are, suppose say I'm in a meeting, and I'm, for example, if I would love to take this example of our late president, Shri Abdul Kalam ji. He was called the People's President, if you remember. And he was lecturing to a group of students at the, when he probably had his end meet him. So I'm sure, he was completely in the state of jnana. And obviously, I'm sure he would have attained a state of that kind, or probably he was such a good man, he would have completely got moksha from this world, right? So similarly, whatever I'm thinking, suppose I am thinking of something, trying to be treacherous, or trying to want to cheat somebody, or, try to, or say, I keep thinking of, what can I eat the next minute, or what. The Lord says, whatever state of mind you are, that state you shall definitely achieve, because that becomes your desire. Whatever desire I carry in the last minute, that desire is what will take me into my next cycle. Okay, it's very interesting. So let's see with examples. So here is an example of, this was, I think, the Bharat Maharaj, I think. Bharat Maharaj, he was a pious king. He led his kingdom very well. He was a very good father, very good husband, and very good king who really took care of his praja and all his people in the world at that time. Okay, and he finally said, time after, he said, look, I've spent enough time in the grahastha, and I've also done enough as a kshatriya. Now it's time for me to take sannyasa. And he went on a vanaprastha. And when he was in vanaprastha, preparing to be a sannyasi, at that one day when he was doing a yagna, his homa, the regular, his duties as a in the vanaprastha ashram, he saw a deer, a pregnant deer, running out of fear and trying to cross a little stream of water. It was being chased by a wild animal. And the deer, because of fear, it gave birth to the fawn, but but lost its life because the wild animal carried it away. So the Bharat Maharaj, being a nice man, being a nice human being, he went, crossed the stream and picked up the little fawn and brought it to his ashram. And the fawn was motherless. So he started tending to the fawn, and he was completely immersed in the love and affection, and absolutely taking care of the fawn. And the fawn grew into a beautiful deer. And whenever the deer would go into the forest, he would wait. Oh my God, I hope the deer is okay. I hope the deer would come home. I hope he's okay. I hope he's fine, and things like that. He was constantly thinking of the deer. And finally, his time of death came. And when he died, he had only the deer in his mind. And it is said he got the body of the deer. Of course, when he got the body of the deer, he remembered his folly. He said, oh God, this is what I did. While I should have taken care of the deer, why should have, given all the kind of love and care and affection for the deer, I should not have forgotten the primary responsibility of mine, which was to kind of, follow the principles of Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. And, he had completely forgotten all about the Lord and forgotten everything about, about the importance of faith and religion. And ultimately, he got the body of a deer. And of course, thinking of knowing this or remembering all, he was a great soul. So he could remember what happened in the past. And remembering all that, he kind of atoned for it. And ultimately, it is said he got liberation. Okay. So again, the moral here is we must not give up our faith. We must not lose our Shraddha in devotion. Okay. Now, therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna. So let's think of him because Krishna was Saguna. Krishna was Sachidananda. He's the Shama Sundara form. He's the Lord who came with all his original potency 5,100 years ago. So he says, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without order. This was the answer to the last question of Arjuna. Okay, 8.7. So what was the story of Ajamila? Does anyone know the story of Ajamila? Anybody? Okay. Ajamila was a learned Brahmin. He was born in a family of all learned people. And he was also a Brahmin himself. He was married and he had some children. And one day he came to the forest to pick up some flowers. And there he saw, a couple engaged in the mode of passion. And his mind completely swayed. And he wanted to kind of marry that lady in the, whom he saw in the arms of another man. And he went behind that lady. He begged her. He said, look, I'm completely, in love with you, and I want to marry you, and I want to settle with you. And he married her. Though he had another wife, he just ignored her. He kicked his wife out, and he didn't care for his children. And he was completely, lost in love and lust in this lady. And they had around 10 children. And then he also exhausted all the money that his family had. And he also started engaging in all kinds of activities like gambling and drinking and robbing people, etc., because he had so many children. And this lady was very demanding, who he kind of married the second time. She was very to fulfill all their needs and desires. He started engaging into all kinds of vices. Now, finally, Ajamila also grew old, and his youngest son was named as Narayana. Though he forgot Narayana, he was completely a Narayana Bhakta until this event happened. But however, he forgot all about Narayana when he got into the company of this lady. And the time of death came. So let's see what happens at the time of death. So when the hour of death came, or the minute or second of his death came, the Yamadutas came. They had come to, and Ajamila was completely frail and thin, and he was so weak. And when he saw all these kind of Yamadutas coming in, all kinds of ghastly forms, he got so scared. He started, calling out Narayana, Narayana. Though he called out his own son, because the 10th son of his was someone whom he was very fond of, and he called Narayana. So, Vishnu Dutas were, flying in the sky, and they heard somebody, calling Narayana. They immediately came upon, the place where Ajamila was lying, and they saw all these Yamadutas, and they chased them away. They said, who are you people? Why are you troubling? a devotee of the Lord. You have no right to trouble a devotee of the Lord. They didn't know who this Ajamila was. They thought Ajamila is calling the name of the Lord. So they came to help him. Because a devotee always helps another devotee. So as devotees, they came to help, this man, Ajamila, who was calling the name of Narayana, his own son, not knowing Narayana is also the name of the Supreme Lord. And the Vishnu Devatas, hearing this, they came and they started chasing away the Yamadutas. So the Yamadutas went back to Yamadharma and said, you know what, we couldn't bring this soul to you. We are very sorry. Then Yamaraj asked him what happened. Asked them what happened. So they said, look, while we were trying to bring this man out of him, he kind of started, shouting out the name of Narayana, and a whole lot of, very exalted souls came around the place and they chased us away. They said, we can't touch, a devotee of Narayana. So we didn't. So the Yamaraj said, okay, leave them alone. Don't do anything. Narayana will take care of them. It's not our business anymore. Now that the Vishnu Dutas, the devotees have come to take care of him, we are nobody to kind of do anything to the devotee of the Lord. And then what happened? Ajamila, that was the time when he saw the Vishnu Dutas, he remembered what a folly he had committed. He said, oh my God, what have I done? How could I have fallen to this kind of state? And forgotten the importance of leading a moral life, leading an ethical life. And I have been so fallen. And he begs the Vishnu Dutas to help him out. He says, look, I want to atone. I want to do prayashchita. I want to kind of ask for mercy of the Lord. I want to kind of really do activities so that the Lord can forgive me. And the Vishnu Dutas, they kind of requested Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Brahman, Mahavishnu, can never refuse anything to his devotees. So the moment the Vishnu Dutas went back to Lord Vishnu and said, hey, you know what, Krishna, can you please help this gentleman who is an ardent devotee of yours? He wants to do prayashchita because he has done a lot of ills in his life and he wants to come out of them. Can you please help him? Please give us the ability to kind of convey to him that you will take care of him. So Vishnu said, I can't do much, but however, if he wants to kind of, go through the process of prayashchita, I can help him out with that. So Ajamila gets health and he goes and does a lot of tapasya and, austerities, and it is said after many, many years, he was able to get liberation. And when the time for liberation come, it's said that Lord Mahavishnu himself came in his golden chariot and took Ajamila with him. Now, there are two parts to the story. One part is does not mean that, just because Ajamila was, committed sin and he got atonement, we will also get it. No, that was, something. Ajamila was a great devotee. He had been a great devotee of the Lord. He had fallen and he wanted to do prayashchita. He got an opportunity to do a prayashchita, but that is not an opportunity that's going to come by to us, because in Kali Yuga, we all have very limited. We have finite number of days and hours and seconds in our hands. So we are not going to get such opportunity. For us, we have to follow what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. The only marga for us to get our liberation or to stay on the path of our devotion and stay steady on the path of our Shraddha is the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Okay. So, what does it here? Can someone read this translation? Hare Krishna? Somebody? I know I've been talking for a long time, so somebody can someone read this translation? Anybody?
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Khushbu Mataji. Yes.
He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undivided from the path, he, O Parth, Arjuna, is sure to reach me.
So undeviated. You should not be in any form of deviation, should not be there. It has to be Ananya Bhakti or Kevala Bhakti is the only way we can attain liberation or attain the lotus feet of the Lord. In what way should one remember the Lord? He's going to tell us. He says, Kavim Puranam Anushashitaram Anor Aniyamsam Anusmaredayah Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varanam Tamasah Parastad. It means one should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he is the oldest, he is Aja, he is Avyayam, he is the controller, who's smaller than the smallest, because he is present even in the smallest of the living living beings in this universe, who's beyond all material conception. We can't even think about the Virata Rupa of the Lord, who's inconceivable, who's always a person. He's always a person, Lord Krishna, with all the gunas. All the gunas are what? Not the gunas that we are, all the inferior gunas, but all his 6 opulences. He is luminous like the sun. He's transcendental. He's beyond this material nature, because he is the one who kind of creates a material nature, and he's above them all. Okay? So, Ananya Chetah Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityasaha Tasya aham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yogina. For one who remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. Ananya, who remembers him without any deviation. O son of Pratha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Anything, see, practice makes a person perfect. Right? So unless we practice, nothing will come by. Even our own, whether it's our vocational courses that we do, or any kind of vocational, profession we carry out, it needs constant practice. Whether you're a teacher or a doctor or an engineer or a householder, you have to stay in touch with the latest that is happening in your own professional field. When that is the aspect that we need to be doing to keep ourselves abreast all the time, how can it be different for devotion? Devotion also follows the same path. Devotion also has the same criteria. The same characteristic or the same aspect needs to be maintained in devotion also. Devotion is not something about one day or 1 week or 1 month. It has to be a constant companion of us throughout our life. What is the difference between material world and spiritual world? We did this yesterday. Anybody? What is the difference between material world and the spiritual world? The material world is temporary, but the spiritual world is permanent. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is a dukhalayam, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So here he says, from the highest planet, there are planets above the earth planet, and there are planets below the earth planet. From the highest planet to the lowest planet, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. So remember, I said even Brahma also gets annihilated. Brahma also gets destroyed at the time of Pralaya and the Mahapralaya that happens. Okay, so from the highest Brahma, all the Devi, Devatas are all positions. Remember, they're all in the higher planets, but they're all positions only. So all those positions also, all those people in the positions also get destroyed when the Mahapralaya happens. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of miseries wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So let's look at that. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Viduhu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Te Aho Ratra Vidojanaha. By human calculation, 1000 ages taken together. Remember, this is the duration of Brahma's 1 day. 1000 Mahayugas make 1 day or 1 kalpa of Brahma. And such is the duration of his night. And whenever there is, the end, Brahma's, day ends, everything, all the planets also come to an end. And then next he says, when the Brahma's days manifest, this multitude of living entities again come into being. And on the arrival of Brahma's night, all are annihilated. Again and again, the day comes, and this host of beings is active again. And when the night falls, they go back, or they have to again, they get annihilated, or they get destroyed. Oh, Partha, they are helplessly dissolved. Okay. So this is the spiritual world of the Lord, and this is called the Goloka Vrindavan. And we will see that in the next slide. Yet there is another nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. This matter, this Prakriti, is manifested by the Lord and is unmanifested upon the time of the Pralaya, and is never annihilated. So the Lord's abode is never annihilated because it's above the material energy, or is above, it's a superior energy of the Lord. It's only the inferior energy and the marginal energy that is the Jivatmas and all the demigods that can get annihilated, along with the inferior energy that is Prakriti, the superior abode of the Lord is always, it always remains. Okay. Now, parastasmatu bhavo anyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nasyatshu na vinashyati. Yet there is another nature which is eternal and transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is a supreme, is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Avyakto akshara iti uktas tam ahuhu param gatim yam prapya nav nivartante tat dharma paramam mama. That which the Vedantas describe as unmanifest and infallible, and that which is known as the supreme destination, that from which place, having attained it, never attained. So, the supreme abode of the Lord is the eternal abode, and one who is able to reach that eternal abode never comes back again, never at all. The universe keeps getting created, upon its, whenever the time comes, it gets created, and as the time ends, it gets annihilated. But one does not go through this process at all, one who attains the Lord's abode. Okay, so this is called the Goloka chart. Okay, so Goloka chart, this is, you can Google Goloka chart, you'll be able to see it. There are 4 divisions. Now this is the Mahat Tattva. This is where we are. I'm showing you the, the right corner. This is the Mahat Tattva. And here you can see the Lord as the Karno Dakshaya Vishnu. Can you see this? I don't think you can see, right? I'm sorry, I can't even. Okay, do it. Let me see if I can expand it a bit. Oh my. Yeah. So this is the lowest form of the Lord's manifestation. This is the inferior energy of the Lord. Can you see this little circle here? The tip of the circle. Can you see anyone? The circumference of the tip of the circumference of a larger circle. Can you see this? It's called Brahma Jyoti here. Can you see? Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Yeah. So here is the Karano Daksha. The Mahavishnu takes the form. He takes the 3 Purusha avatars. Okay. He is the Karano Dakshaya Vishnu, lies in the causal ocean. This causal ocean is only 1/4. See, this entire cosmic the energy of the Lord is not fully manifested. It's only a part of his, 1/4 of it is what is used for all these, all the creation of this material world, which has many universes. 3/4 is the abode is the spiritual abode. Okay, so only 1/4 is where these material universes happen. So Lord as Karno Dakshaya Vishnu creates this Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva is the Prakriti. And this Prakriti is created from the pores of his body. And there are very many universes. And each of these universes, the Lord lies down as the Garbho Dakshaya Vishnu. And from his Garbha, that is from his navel point, the universes get created. That is what he does. He first creates the Brahma. Okay. The Brahma, from the navel point of from the navel of the Lord, the lotus stem comes, and on the lotus Brahma is seated. Brahma then creates all these planets. There are 14 planetary systems. We are here in the middle one. Okay, there are 7 planets below us, and there are 7 planets above us, and there are 6 planets below us, and we are in the Earth planet. Okay, so all these planets along with Brahma get annihilated at the time of Pranaya. They go back. And what the Lord does is, after he creates each of these universes as Garbho Dakshaya Vishnu, as the Chiro Dakshaya Vishnu, he resides in the hearts of every living entity that is created in each of these planets and in every other universe as well. Okay, now this is what is, so this is the Harida. Okay, this one is our Devida. This is the material world. Then after that, this is the ocean that we have to cross. This is the ocean of the Karano Dakshaya Vishnu. This is called the Mahadham. This is also the place of Sadashiva. Then after this comes this particular thing. This is called the Harida. Okay, this is the, sorry, this thing is not very clear. This is the Harida. And after the Haridham is where the Lord resides, which is called the Goloka. Goloka Vrindavan is at the center. These are all the Vaikuntha Dhams. These are all the various Vaikunthas. So So you can well imagine how much of oceans, how much of distance we have to really take ourselves if we really want to cross over this Mahatattva, cross over these miseries that are contained in the Mahatattva or in any of the universes which also contain the same kind of miseries. We can say, oh, I don't want this Earth planet. Maybe I'll go to another planet. All the planets are the same, and all kinds of any other universe that exists. Remember in 4th chapter, the Lord gave the knowledge first to Vivaswan. That means there's a sun planet. There are people living in the sun planet. As when I say people, beings that can, survive the heat and light of the sun planet. Such beings live in the sun planet. And similarly, in each and every planet, there are living entities that can sustain or that can probably even do. So all these universes are part of the Mahatattva, and they're all full of miseries. Okay, so that is so you can do a Google and read more if you like it, but then it'll be a little tough. You need to kind of understand it through someone who has understood it very well. I'm also still studying. It's all contained in a book called Brahma Samhita, if any of you are interested. But then I would suggest that you'll read this after you have completely understood the Bhagavad Gita, and also get on to at least getting an overview of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then when you kind of go to these higher level of scriptures, you will relish it a lot more. So in the spiritual world, the Lord kind of is in the same state of love and affection as he showed in the to all the Brijvasis and all the Dwaraka Vasis. Okay, he was the Dasya, he was Sakya, the Bhakta Vatsala. He kind of really charmed Yashodama. So all those kind of the forms of the Lord are available in his Golokadam. And in the Golokadam, every entity that is able to reach the Lord also has a similar features of the Lord. Everyone who reaches the Golokadam also, it seems, gets the similar, that Shyamasundara form, that form of effulgence, that form of purity, that form with all those 6 opulences. But of course, the Lord is greater than them. But as part of as a nature, we have the same nature as a God, because we'll also be as saguna as the Lord, as good as the Lord, as pure as the Lord, as loving as the Lord. Okay. So here, this is another lovely story of Mukundamala Stotra, and Prabhupada, really quotes this a lot. He says, this was a king called Kulashekara. Kulashekara, I believe, he said, he requested the Lord, he kind of prayed to the Lord, hey Lord, please, I want to kind of, leave this body when I have my full memory. So please give me that strength so that I can leave the body, or please give me that blessing so that I can leave this body thinking of you. Because I don't know in what state I will be when I grow too old and my memory may fade. Something like what Mataji just said. I may not know if I will be able to even recall the Lord. So Kulashetra actually said that. What did he say? Oh Krishna, please allow my mind to immediately yield to your lotus flower-like feet, just as the flamingo, I believe the flamingos, they enter into the tip of the stem of the lotus. Obviously, they're putting their head into it so that they can, whenever they see a fish, they can catch it. So here he says, let me also, dig myself, let me kind of take shelter under your lotus feet. When at the moment of my last breath, my throat becomes constricted by the action of the bodily humors, air and bile and phlegm, how will I be able to remember you? I won't be able to remember you at that time. So please give me Sharanagati when I am completely in my consciousness. Okay, that's a good story. So now, Purushaha Saparapartha Bhaktya Labhyastva Anyaya Yashyantah Stani Bhutani Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam. It means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's greater than all, is attained only by unalloyed devotion, only by Kevala Bhakti, only by Ananya Bhakti. Okay, although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading and is situated in everything. Okay, so now here there's a question. Are you convinced that this world is a Dukhalayam? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
So Vedeshu Yagneshu Tapasu Chaiva Daneshu Yat Punya Phalam Pradishtam Atyeti Tat Sarvam Idam Viditva Yogi Param Sthanam Upaiti Chatim. Can someone read the translation? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, read, Mataji.
My mistake. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing auspicious sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. At the end, he reaches the supreme abode. Hare
Thank
Krishna
you.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. So what the Lord is saying is the devotional service that one does is as powerful as one who does austere services, like austere, activities like an Ashtanga yogi, or even someone who's philosophical, that is a Sankhya yogi, or even someone who is doing a karma yoga. Just a karma yogi is doing fruitive activities. Once in a while he does bhakti, but what he says, one who's constantly, in devotional service of the Lord is greater than one who's practicing Sankhya or is practicing Jnana Yoga, or even one who's practicing Ashtanga Yoga. Okay. So this is the chapter summary. 8 questions of Arjuna. Arjuna asked 8 questions. All the 8 questions were answered by the Lord. And the last question was how to remember Krishna at the time of death. That was also answered by the Lord, in all the verses up to 8.28. And remembering Krishna by Yoga Mishra, one can only remember Krishna through bhakti and devotion. And Krishna cannot be, attained by any other means other than unalloyed devotion, or other than Ananya Bhakti or Kevala Bhakti, which means unalloyed devotion, which is not contaminated. And he also tells us what is the advantage of going to the spiritual world. As the material world, in any universe is full of dukkha. And if you want sukham, if you want to kind of get yourself liberated from the cycle of birth and death, the only path ahead, the only way forward is to kind of practice devotional service. While doing your activities, while doing all your activities, have your faith and have your shraddha on the Lord and practice bhakti. And that is the only thing which will kind of help you to cross over these miseries of the Kalayam and reach the Vaikuntha planets of the Lord. So, and then finally he says, he gives us in the last verse, he gives us the supremacy of pure bhakti in attaining Krishna, which is greater than jnana and greater than Ashtanga Yoga and even greater than simple karma yoga that has kamya, that is your karma that is full of desires. Okay, so you need to really go over even the sakama karma and need to become a shuddha nishkama karma yogi. Okay. Hare Krishna. With that, we end this chapter. So tomorrow we will see chapter 9. Okay, which is all about knowing it is about the supreme science or the most confidential knowledge. That is what the Lord will share with us tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Any questions, anybody? Any questions, anyone today? Any thoughts? Any questions, any thoughts, any comments? That means what's there in the chat anybody's put. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Surrender to God. Hare Krishna. Yeah, any thoughts, any comments? You want to share something? Yeah, nobody? No question, no thoughts, no comments? No one? Yeah? Who's this? Ishan Gorai ji? Hare Krishna. There's somebody called Kajol Nanavati ji.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything? You want to share anything? Any thoughts? Any comments?
Nothing, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Vardhan Jain ji. Asha
No, Mataji.
Gonikar ji. Nothing? Okay, so we meet tomorrow. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhopya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. So I want to ask you, are you able to follow what we are doing? Is it too fast, or you want me to go slow, or how would you like it?
Mataji, this speed is okay.
Speed is okay? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know you might feel a little, it might be because see, if you're used to all this, then, it'll be fine. But if you're not, it'll take time to sink in. But trust me, I'm sure, by the end of the 18 days, there will be at least 18 things that you will carry. That I can guarantee. And you will definitely see yourself, changing for the better. And you will also see yourself being someone, who is very conscientious, who's very thoughtful, who's very mindful. And you will also kind of constantly, this will keep ringing a bell in your head. And even whenever your mind sways, or even whenever you're not, doing, when you fall back to your old habits, or some habits that bothers you, or that some habits that you really want to change, you will definitely make strides in progressing, on things that you want to really, achieve. And you will also kind of gain taste for things that are superior, and anything which is going to be a deterrent, or which is going to be a blocker in your in your ability to kind of attain your goal, you will discard them. The mind will definitely get a filter. Let me put it that way. You will get a filter. जैसे जब चाय बनाते हैं तो छलनी यूज करते हैं ना, ये भगवत गीता जो हम पढ़ के हम उसको हम अमल करने के लिए कोशिश करेंगे, then you will be like your chalni. It will become a chalni in your day to day, or in your life. It will filter out all the things, all the unwanted things, for sure. And it'll also make a strong person, because you'll know what you want, how you need to achieve it, and you also you know that you will that your bhakti and your devotion will help you to stay strong. So you will never ever allow anything to make you sway, or make you take on something that will actually affect you badly. And even if something that is coming upon you, you will automatically find some kind of a protection coming your way. But that you will read in chapter 10. That will come in chapter 10. The Lord will always be there around us. I'm not saying overnight I say, okay, fine, I want to become the president of the US, that not the kind. It needs to be something that is specific, and that's something that you can achievable. Any of your achievable kind of goals, if you set your heart on that, and maybe you work towards that, it will happen. Maybe for some of you, you have the time and energy, and as well as the you have the road is ahead of you. You haven't yet chosen your road yet. Maybe when you choose your road, why not? Maybe you'll also become one day. You'll also contest elections in any of these big countries, or maybe contest elections in our country, and some of you from here will hold good positions of authority. But when you do that, don't forget what the Lord has said in the Bhagavad Gita. Implement all that, execute. That's Vijnana. That is called realized knowledge. Just simple jnana is just remains in the realm of knowledge. Please use all of what you are studying now. Implement it, put it to use, and that will help to make you a better you. Okay? Hare Krishna. I'm talking too much. I'm talking too much, right? But my aim is that I want each of you all to carry at least a few things. That is my interest. My interest is at the end of 18 days, if each of you are going to carry a few things away, and you are happy doing that, and your family also sees the change in you and the difference in you, I think that is the biggest gift I think I would have achieved by way of sharing this wonderful great knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita. And trust me, the Bhagavad Gita is not for the ordinary, it is for the extraordinary. And I think anyone who comes to even listening to it, even let it be just be an overview, I think that itself shows that you are definitely extraordinary and you have a great potential. This is kind of a divine call on you. There is some divine message that's coming your way, and I hope you take it that way, and you prosper, and you live well, and you're really happy. Okay. Anyway, more to go. There are 10 more chapters. So we will see how each of you are seeing a difference. I told you after the 12th chapter or at the end of the 12th chapter, we will have a small conversation. I would like to hear your experiences. And I hope all of you are doing the japa, the Maha Mantra. Okay?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Who is this?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
I have
Krishna.
a question. Is the devotional service is important besides the chanting the Maha Mantras?
Come again. Is devotion? Are you saying your voice is not clear? But I'm just going to get your question, maybe paraphrase. Are you saying is devotional service different from Maha Mantra?
No, Mataji. Important. Devotional service is important besides the chanting of Maha Mantras.
The Maha Mantra chanting is a devotional service because you're doing kirtana. Smaranam, because when you're talking, kirtanam is what? When you speak, when you are kind of doing, any kind of bhajan, that is kirtanam, that is talking. But when you're doing it, that's why we say it loudly so that you can hear. Yeah, hearing is very powerful. Hearing kind of, keeps away everything else. That's a big devotion. That's a devotional service. How do you start your devotional service? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave an easy way out for us. He said, chant the Maha Mantra. And that is the biggest service you can do for yourself. And while you're doing a service for yourself, it also kind of helps you to enhance your spiritual journey. Okay?
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.